Hey everybody, we're in Fruitland, Idaho. What's going on in Fruitland? You want to find out? Stick around. Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave, and today we're in Fruitland, Idaho, and we have something very special going on. But before I tell you what that is, I want to remind you that if you're thinking Idaho might be the place for you, please give us a call, text, email. We'll be glad to share all of our experiences and answer all your questions as best we can anyway. And if you like this video, please go ahead and share, like, and subscribe. I know there's somebody out there that needs to see this. And gosh, go to our website, www.treasurevalleydave.com, and check out that resources tab. We've got some great information on there. It's all for free and it's all for you. Today, we're in Fruitland. We have some clients that went the route of a tiny house. Now, I've never lived in a tiny house. Heck, I've never been in a tiny house, but I won't be able to say that after today. You know what? I'm really looking forward to seeing what this is all about. Come on, let's go take a look. I told you guys we had something special today, and so here we are over at Steve and Nora's place, and what makes their place a little bit different is they've got a tiny house, and they've offered to let us take a look at it. I've never been in one before, and I'm really excited about checking it out, and then we're going to talk with them about what it's like to live in a tiny house. So first, Nora, Steve, wow, thanks for having us over.
Great to have you.
You bet.
Oh my gosh. You guys have been, looking for the perfect place, and we saw some places that might work, but then you turn around and kind of settled on a tiny house.
We did. Yeah, we did what everyone else did, and we've been on YouTube, watching all the tiny house shows, fell in love with it about 2 years ago, maybe 3. We said we could do that. And we ended up selling our property, came to Idaho, and while we were here, we went, you know what, we're going to go for what we really want, and that's a tiny house.
That is so fantastic. Steve, did it take any arm twisting to get you on board?
Not a whole lot. I've been used to the RV life a bit, and of course that wasn't full time, but comfortable in the space, knowing what it was like. I just pictured myself being able to live in a tinier place, and it's worked out well.
And what about my furry little brother? How is he doing?
His apartment's in the shower. That's his room. And that's where he hides, and he loves it. So he's got his own little spot. He loves it.
Nice. Did you notice he dressed up? He's wearing a tie today.
Yes. He's got his little tie.
Oh, he's
handsome.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, can you give us a tour?
Absolutely. Come on.
Nice. They say it's my first time ever in a tiny house.
We think one of the nicest things that we have in here is we love our round ceiling.
Yeah, high ceiling and
the
a
barrel
ceiling.
ceiling.
Barrel roof.
Yeah, it just gives us so much room and space. It's a small space, but it feels bigger just because of the high ceiling here.
Right.
So.
Wow. So this.
So what they've given us here is this space up here, this loft. A lot of people would use this for a bedroom. And what they had steps coming up here, but we knew that wasn't going to work for us. So we asked them to build these closets. It gave us really large coat. It's just storage. That's pantry, but you can see it's huge. This is our main storage in the place. This ended up being my studio I'm crafty, so that's my spot up there. And then the living room here. We love because it has the 7-foot slide that comes out, and it just gives us enough space. We didn't mention that when we left our home, we moved into a 24-foot Class C, and we lived there a year and a half.
Okay.
And that was 16 feet internally. And we made it in 16 feet by 8 for a year and a half. So this is a mansion.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the big difference between going from your motor home to living in this?
Well, besides the space, this is 38 feet. So that's quite a bit more space than we had in the past. But more importantly, there's insulation. Makes a huge difference.
Okay.
So for 4-inch wall construction, so similar to a stick-built house,
Okay.
that makes a huge difference. as far as being able to keep cool during the summer. And coming in this winter will be our first winter here. But as well as it's gone through the summer, we anticipate a pretty comfortable winter as well.
So you do have furnace, you do have AC.
That's right. We're actually using mini split technology for cooling and heating. We first had a mini split with our previous house. Just fell in love with the concept. Very efficient, very comfortable to use, and we were very excited that Tiny Idaho Homes offered that in their tiny homes. So we've got a mini split. The compressor is on the back end here, and we've got the head.
It's up over the kitchen.
Over the kitchen. So you get air conditioning and heat. And so for a backup system, we do have propane. And typically we'll use that in the morning to take the chill off. And then the mini split will take care of the heat once that's taken care of. Yeah.
We didn't mention that when we were in our RV, we came to Idaho in our small little 24-footer, and we intended to stay we were here last winter. It was so bad, the condensation, because it was so cold outside, and we were just keeping it as, not hot in there, but the condensation was so bad that we actually made a purchase of a fifth wheel just to get us through 5 months while this was being finished. And then once we got into this, we sold that fifth wheel. But we couldn't stay. That RV was not made for winter. And we loved it. We kept it. We still have it. It's a great little vehicle, but we knew we were going to ruin it if we stayed the whole winter in it. And it was molding. We were having to wipe the walls every single day. Because of that condensation that was happening. So, and what was our electric bill? It was like $150 in that thing last summer.
The max we had for air conditioning was $150, but we were parked in the middle of asphalt.
Yes.
No shade. So we stayed cool, but we paid for it.
Yes.
Right.
And our highest bill here, and it's been very warm. It's been in the hundreds, $35.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, the first time the electric bill came due, the owner had to do a double take. He looked twice because he wasn't sure that it was really accurate being so low. But it was accurate, and a month later it was pretty much the same price. So we're very happy with the efficiency.
And then we attribute that to the way this is more constructed like a house,
Yes.
2x4
Yes.
insulation.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. And the air conditioning is much more efficient than your typical RV AC unit
Yes.
on top.
Right.
This uses the mini split inverter technology, so that's a world of difference right there.
Yeah, and those 4-inch walls with wood siding inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
It's the construct. It's why we did it. It wasn't. I mean, we loved the fifth. Even that fifth wheel we bought, we loved that fifth wheel. I would have stayed in it if it would have been more efficient. So I don't remember what the heat bills were in that larger one, but I think they were last through that winter, weren't they? Like just under 100.
Well, we have a propane tank filled, and I
that's
kind of
what it
lose
is.
track. Maybe on a monthly basis, it was close to $200 every time that tank was filled. So I know it wasn't more than 200 for heat, and it might have been closer to 150.
Yeah.
But
And then I'm looking at your power. These are probably LED lights as
Yes.
well.
yep, yeah, LED
Everything's
throughout,
efficient.
and we have, besides the mini split for air conditioning and heat, we have on-demand hot water heater.
Oh,
So we're
And that's the
looking
first
for
time we've ever
water
had one of
it's
those.
like one of the tankless.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, tankless. That's a Truma brand. And we've been very happy with it.
And that came standard with the tiny house.
It was a little upgrade. They definitely have hot water, but the Truma was a little add-on. But it was well worth it.
Check out the bathroom as you come through. Here, I'll just come up.
Yeah. Wow. So this is it's a full bathroom.
Full bathroom.
Well, that's a nice size shower.
Nice size shower. Yeah.
And then a regular toilet. And then washer and dryer
Combo. Washer
combo.
dryer combo. Yeah.
And then more storage.
Yeah, and this is a feature that Nora came up with that works so well.
Sure.
In a cramped space, so you get all your
anything you're using, it's convenient because there's no cabinetry.
Whether you're shaving or Nora's doing her thing,
You need some
everything can go on the
space.
counter.
Nice.
One of the upgrades we did is we lengthened the width of the slide so that we could get
A king size
a
bed.
king size bed in.
Right.
Standard for this model is a 6-foot slides,
Right.
and we upgraded to 7-foot slides because we really wanted a king size bed.
That's probably something you wouldn't normally think of.
We really thought the 6-foot slide was going to work, and we went to go see one of them that they built for someone else, and I took my measuring tape and realized that once you build out this that 6-foot one, it actually, the space for the bed was only 5'6" wide, and kings are 6 foot wide. I wasn't going to be able to get my mattress in. So all of a sudden it was like panic. How are we going to do this? I mean, when you have
There was a
dogs, they
big
have to sleep in
requirement
bed with you.
Having a king size.
Yeah.
So a tiny house, you could have 2 bedrooms, you could have a king size,
Yes.
and we're standing up. You're not like bending over.
Absolute normal bedroom. That's our closet right here. Steve's standing in front of our drawers. We've got some space over the bathroom there. That's his man cave. And we have, and those are our clothes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We live small. I mean, we don't own things like we used to, but it was so wonderful to get rid of all that stuff. We don't have to clean it. We don't have to take care of it. We don't have to insure it. We don't have to, it's gone. And it feels good.
Really simplified
Yes.
our lives.
We have simplified our lives.
And it was good timing. Well,
like it
typically what we do is at night we like it nice and cold, so
we have
the
had
bedroom
those
is
Yeah.
running and
Yeah.
the other one will be off. But really sold on this Medea
Yeah.
U-shape. It's very quiet, much quieter than your typical window air conditioner, and it has that high efficiency operation using inverter technology. So I've been very happy with it.
So then this is the kitchen.
Yeah, isn't it nice?
This is nice. There's a decent amount of room.
It's not huge, but one of the things I really like about it is they standardly put the cabinets here, but I said, well, isn't there a bridge going across? And it's like a bridge. And so I told them what I was envisioning, and I just went and bought the stuff for them, and they did such a great job. There's not room to do that in a tiny house, but look at how I was able to decorate off the floor. These are just some of the favorite little things I had. I didn't keep very many little doodads,
Right.
but yeah, we were able to keep that. We use you'll see in a lot of tiny houses the Berkey filter.
I got one.
Yeah, they're awesome, and we had to make a custom little place there so it's easy for us to fill it and use it. Yeah, we went with a standard fridge. It's small, but it's bigger than an RV fridge.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't always choose things like an RV, like that. We decided we wanted a real fridge in here. So
Residential fridge,
residential,
as
yeah.
opposed to propane.
yeah, we got us the sink we thought, oh, that sink's going to be too small. That sink's not too small. Everything they did, they made choices that maybe we wouldn't have made, but we just sort of rolled with it. They made excellent choices.
Wow, that was a great tour through your house. I have so many questions for you guys. And our great producer back at the studio, he wanted to make sure I didn't forget to ask these. So what made you guys look into tiny houses?
Well, we've always been fascinated with them. Watched videos and read up on them, and we even got a book before we got married in the 70s about people converting rigs into essentially a tiny house. Although I don't think the term really existed back then. So it was something always in the back of our minds, and even when we moved out to Idaho, the intent was to get a traditional house, really, but it just wasn't, nothing really popped for us. And we thought, you know what, let's just revisit this tiny house thing.
Yeah, so we talked about it again, and then we kind of went out and said, hey, is there any tiny house builders in Idaho? We, just did internet search, and we found a business by the name of Tiny Ida Homes in Emmett, Idaho. And we gave them a call, and we went and looked at what they had. This is the largest model that they offer. They also offer, I think, 3 or 4 other models, between like probably 18 feet, 20 feet, 24 feet, and then they jumped to this big 38. And
To a fifth wheel format.
to the fifth wheel format.
Yeah, the others are more like trailer chassis.
Yeah.
So did they have a showroom or examples that you guys could see?
A little limited. When we went there, I think we saw one of the smaller units. It had a slide, but it wasn't the big guy.
Basically, we just got on their list, and we gave them, I think at that time they were wanting like a $5,000 deposit to be in their schedule. We didn't know we were 25th in line. We did not know that. And they, like every business, we're just so grateful that they were able to continue to build with alternatives and finding alternatives during the pandemic when there were so many items not available and having a hard time getting certain things.
Yeah, they experienced the same issues with labor as well as parts and materials and appliances. So that kind of it stretched things out a little bit.
Well, and we didn't know. I think they told us they thought at the time that they were going to get to us in December, and we put our deposit down in July of last year, 2021, and we thought that they were going to start it in December, but because of different things, I think they started it in February. So just 2 months later, 2 months delay, and we received it. We brought it here on the 1st of May.
So now you guys had been living here in your RV in this park.
Yes.
And then the park allows you to have a tiny home here. Was that an issue?
Yeah, they're very supportive. The fact that it's licensed as an RV, the RVIA or whatever that is, the certification. Right. So it meets all the requirements and it was built to pass that specification.
And I think this covers them insurance-wise. So they're very interested in tiny homes, and they would absolutely take more if it was a certified RV.
So that's very cool. You said that when you started the process, it was a $5,000 deposit.
Yes.
It's a lot of people won't have enough cash to buy one outright. Is there financing options for something like this?
They did mention that. That ability is there. We didn't. We had our own financing, so we didn't have to pursue it through them. But it sounds like it's an option people can pursue.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. It's kind of encouraging for people who don't need a lot of space, want something very nice, very efficient, and maybe they could get into a little bit cheaper than a regular house.
Absolutely.
So. Is this a typical kind of an RV park? And can you give us an idea of what it costs here for like the lot and then for utilities and things?
So in this area, this park it currently is renting for $475 a month. But parks in this area are anywhere. I think we might be on the low end in the area. I think it goes up to like maybe $6. I think I might have seen one about $650 because I looked at different parks, all around. And but the thing that this park has that we did not find in other parks is if that family atmosphere. We're not a corporation. We're family owned. We have trees and oh my gosh, the people who live here are so delightful. And and we just. We were really drawn into because we stayed here. We came here because there was a house for sale on a road in this town that was my maiden name. There's an Elmore Road here in town. And so we said, hey, was there an RV park around that house that's for sale when we get to Idaho? And they had no room, but they had something next to the railroad tracks. It was like an overflow thing. And they said, oh, you can, and we were so grateful to get this overflow parking. And we were here, we stayed for several weeks, and eventually they offered a full-time spot to us.
So there was a certain amount of serendipity involved.
Yeah.
We didn't really have it all planned out
No.
like in the past. We've
Everything
always
would have
planned
to be
things
planned.
out exact, and now that we're retired,
not doing
we're
that.
getting more comfortable with just letting things flow.
Well, talking about the transition, so you went from a regular house with decades worth of memories into a tiny house. What was that process like?
That was a huge process because there was a lot to shed.
We had a free garage sale for, I think, 3 months. We sold our larger items, but then there was so many, like I love to decorate, and there was just a lot, and I have so many hobbies and all this stuff, and it just wasn't going to come with us. I did stained glass.
40 years of accumulation.
Yeah. And we gave it away.
A little bit.
Well, and so was there anything that of all the stuff that you got rid of, was there anything that you wish you would have kept?
No. I don't really have any regrets.
I made a deal with myself. When we moved out and moved into our RV, we did rent a 10 by 20 unit in the area we were in, and it was jam-packed. The door barely shut, and it was, self-storage. It was over their sprinklers. I mean, it was to the ceiling.
And at the time, we thought that we would move all that stuff into
Yeah.
another house.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know at that point that we were going to be getting a tiny house.
Yeah.
So we still thought, okay, we'll keep a certain amount of possessions so we can furnish a house.
Right.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
We realized that pretty shortly after we moved here. So we
We're not
had to
gonna
make a
keep all
trip to give away
found-
the rest of that stuff that we had been
We
paying
found
storage
a
on.
young woman who had been in domestic violence, and she ended up leaving with her child and nothing. And that's who we gave our stuff to.
So that was a lot of fun.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it was awesome.
It was a blessing all around.
All around. She was lovely, and she did something for us that we were so grateful for. She went into the office of that storage unit and said, can I rent this for 1 more week? And so they can just take what they want and leave, and then we have a week it's this big unit, and she did that for us. We didn't have to clean it. We took what we wanted, and we drove away.
Yeah.
And we drove away with a 6x12, and it wasn't full.
Yeah.
A 6x12 U-Haul. And that's all we kept.
So looking back, and well, now it's like I'm hearing you say it's like you're liberated from all these possessions.
Don't need it.
And so what difference does that make in your life? Can you just go and do things? And
It's just that he's right. Those possessions ended up possessing us. We just always, I would get things and I would think somebody's going to need this, but somehow nobody ever needed it. And I had all that stuff, and it was just nice to let it go. And I made a deal with myself that if I missed something, I was not going to beat myself up over it.
This was really refreshing coming back here. It reminds me of the earlier days where we had that community and relying on each other, helping each other out. So that's been a lot of fun.
It really has been fun.
so if what advice would you have for someone that's interested in checking out a tiny house? I mean, a couple of things would be like, where can you go to actually look at the specifics about a tiny house, but also mentally, what should they be prepared for in their lives to change once they're in a tiny house?
Good questions. So, well, the first resource I think is pretty effective, and a lot of people are get on
The internet.
The internet,
YouTube.
yeah, a lot of videos, and just to get acquainted with the whole concept, and then as you're watching that, you're viewing with your own perspective things that you would like to see, what would make your life easier. So that's a first step.
So we've talked about a lot of great things about living in a tiny house, and you just kind of touched on a shortcoming from that. Can you give me like your top 5 pros and cons of living in a tiny house?
Well, I think the top is it really simplified our lives. Coming from more traditional stick-built houses and a bit more property, there's always that maintenance, which keeps you very busy. And we've always had homes where we've made improvements. Just Nora and I are geared that way of remodeling, whether it's remodeling or adding on, and we've had years of that, and it's just so nice not to be involved in that anymore for a change.
They showed up this morning with a blower and they blew our yard out. And yesterday they showed up with the lawnmower and they mowed our little lawn. And we sit in the morning and drink our coffee and watch them. Thank you. And we just get so much delight out of it. Nice. The fact that we're not out there doing it is just such a luxury for us. We've always done that, right? We've always been super hard workers and remodelers, and we always bought the house. It never made sense to us to buy a house that was all there, because we were going to change it anyway. So why pay the price for what we don't like that they did? Because we're going to change it anyway. So
those are some good pros. What about a couple of cons?
That you really have to think about them.
Well, I think one thing that I have dealt with in this one, and though we are figuring out how to do that, is the steps up into the bedroom, if you notice, are pretty steep going up into the bedroom. And over again, we've had to put pad on it so that when I come down, my feet don't jar my knees and, jar everything. And we did that rope. So we're kind of figuring out ways to kind of deal with that. We're retired. We're in our 60s. So we're figuring out how to make this longevity in this, even though it's kind of a steep. And that rope, our little rope thing, really is helping a lot, because we can take kind of that weight off of our knees and ankles and joints as well.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's worked really well.
So you guys aren't originally from the Idaho area, and so you were talking about what brought you to this park, because it's near that home that had your same last name. Yeah. But what brought you to Fruitland, and what kind of brought you to Idaho?
Well, I have family in Oregon. After retirement, I always assumed I would stay in Oregon, but we took an adventure to Central Oregon, and it just wasn't working out. Nothing really jumped out at us to purchase. And then a friend of ours, we have a friend that suggested Idaho.
Challenged us, actually.
Pretty much challenged us.
Challenged us. Just go check it out. And we thought, you know what?
Why not?
Let's just go check it out. So our house closed. We got in our RV. I think we went to your mom's for a couple days.
In Eugene,
yeah. Oregon. And then we just, the one thing I had to have is I had to have 2 nights reservations somewhere in Idaho.
So another thing about Idaho is the really great weather?
Yes. Yeah, well, we're desert, right? So it's less humid. And we're used to high humidity, or not really like the South, but we were used to a higher humidity. And no, we love the weather here. Yeah, there's no con. We're not finding cons. We love the people. We know that eventually some new adventure, new place is going to show up, right? It's going to be awesome. It could be here. We don't know. We're not we don't work that puzzle every day. We just know it's coming.
So what about the community of Fruitland? Have you got a chance to go around there, and what are your impressions?
We got the opportunity to volunteer at a food bank. Well, instant friends, because these people come through every week or every month, right, to the food bank. We're making friends. We work at the dog rescue. So by getting involved in a couple of activities like that to give back to our community, it has just totally opened the doors to where it's like, it's all positive. I mean, Yeah, no, we like Fruitland. We really like Fruitland.
So Fruitland's not just some boring little farm community then.
It is a really nice little town.
We're used to a large metro area,
Yeah.
and frankly, it just got a little tiring getting around in a congested area. So we really welcome the smaller town atmosphere.
We do.
Some folks may say maybe there's the limited choices on whether it's restaurant, eating out, or other
He
activities.
found a
But
con.
that might be a con, but it's not a con to us. So
It's fine. We have adjusted. We have just figured it out, right? The stores that are available, I mean, that's what there is, right? Of course, 30 miles away from us is the big box stores and a lot of stores that we're really used to from being in a metro area. But we go every 6 weeks, maybe, to go get other things. But we've really figured out we can make do with what's here. And we actually are cooking healthier and better food because there are less restaurant choices here. We don't really, the fast food just isn't working for us anymore. It just doesn't feel good in my body. And so, yeah, been cooking.
As we were coming in, I saw a couple of really nice big produce stands.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, farmer
Oh, my
markets.
gosh. Yes, they have, yeah, that's really positive here.
Nice. Well, is there anything else that you guys would like to share with our people on Fruitland or Idaho or living in a tiny house?
Well, when we watched all of the YouTubes on people with their tiny houses, people are in totally different stages of life, right? This kind of going this direction might not work for someone that's younger, maybe, because they might have a more adventurous spirit where they want to get in there. And I guess we thought we were going to get in there and help build or whatever. But a lot of tiny house places, in our experience, when we were kind of looking around, they closed down because they couldn't get things. And so this works for us. We didn't have to do all the work, and we've done a lot of work in our lives. And they knew how to do. I mean, there's things, like I said, like the sink. There are little things that I thought, oh, no, they knew what they were doing. They've done many of these. They knew what they were doing, and I'm so glad we trusted them. And I'm really glad we went the direction that we went. These have been really excellent choices for us in our stage of life where we are. I have thought of something that we haven't talked about, and that's how we move it. So we're doing something unusual that your listeners might be interested in.
Yeah.
We don't own a truck. We're not moving her. We have decided that when you talk about, so she's 38 feet, you basically have to have, you have to have a big one, right? And we have decided that we don't want to make payments on a $40,000 vehicle.
$40K is probably cheap on a
cheap,
truck that can
right?
move this rig. Yeah.
So I just found out. So I saw a person in here, and on the side of their truck it said RV transport. So I booked myself over there and said, "Excuse me, could you tell me?" He was telling me he was just about to move, go get some RV in Minnesota and taking it to Florida. And I said, "Can you tell me how much your customer is going to be paying?" And he said, "Well, it's $2.75 a mile." So I thought, okay, I'll just round up to $3 a mile in my head. And now I know basically that I call a transport company. This is where we want it taken. And if for 1,000 miles, it's going to be $2,750 for 1,000 miles. But 100 miles, that's 203. I mean, you can do the math.
Cheaper than a new pickup.
It's cheaper, and we don't. And again,
So
we're not insuring
it is a consideration for folks because a lot of folks will want their own truck because they want the flexibility to move once a month or
In the middle of the night.
yeah.
wherever. Right.
But
Yes.
we know that our rig is going to stay put for months, if not years.
Yeah.
at the same spot. So for us, it makes sense just to hire someone.
Yeah.
And we got somebody to move it from Emmett over to this park
Yeah,
when
we
it was
hired someone
done.
to move it.
So that's how we'll go
Yeah.
in the
That was
future.
a big decision because we were looking for a truck and we were thinking, well, you're mobile, so we're just not that mobile of mobile people. I mean, we are mobile, but it just is going to take a little bit more thought, and we are going to need to hire someone when we move. But we don't intend. This is not a cruise around the U.S. vehicle or house. This is big.
So if the next chapter of life opens and you find that place with more land so you can take care of your rescue dogs, can you just sell this in the park that it's in?
It would be well, we could. We could. But we love her now, so we're taking her.
Well, obviously, yeah, but you guys could sell this like you could an
absolutely
RV or something.
We could. We thought about that. If in the future, if for some reason we'll go back to a more traditional house, we would sell this.
Yeah.
Don't have any plans on doing that, but that's a possibility in the future. I don't see our need for space really increasing in the near future. We've been pretty content. I think ideally, as a guy, if I had a shop and then this park next to it, hey, I'd be happy as could be.
Yeah. It just sounds like a perfect solution for you guys.
Yeah, it really is working out well.
Yeah. But figuring out that someone else could move it was also very freeing for us. We're not going to worry about it. We can hire someone, and we're not that comfortable pulling something this big. If we were going to pull, we would have gotten something smaller. Mm-hmm. So that's part of that thinking.
And then we did agonize a bit. We loved the fact that this had space for what we needed.
I mean, and that kind of reminds me of so many other things that somebody else that knows what they're doing, they can take care of it. Or like you were saying, you keep a hold of something because somebody else might need it someday. But when you do need that, you can make that decision at that point. If you guys need to move, you can hire somebody to move you. Or I just love it. You guys are just talking with you just kind of liberates all these ideas.
All right.
This is a new thing in our country. And there are a lot of people excited about this, and rightly so, because it brings a bit of freedom that you just don't have in the traditional way of living, I mean, if something goes south somewhere, you drive away.
Yeah, we got wheels.
Great. It's like, yeah, why not?
Why not? And you can see other places. We could, maybe we want to go to Arizona and I don't know, and stay 6 months or a year or something, or maybe we want to be by a family member who's ill and help them and take our home with us. I honestly have this thing in my head of like, why couldn't I go to there are some rescue places that I've heard of that people can bring their RVs and live at the rescue because it's like a farm and help there. And I'm sure they would pay a rent, right? They would need to pay for their own utilities and their space, of course. But to me, it just opens it up. It just opens up whatever you want to do. So that's, when we talk about opportunities, that would certainly be an opportunity. Hey, come to our rescue and help me and I would consider something like that.
The alternative is if you're in a regular house someplace, you have to sell your house, you have to move all that junk.
And this is pretty quick, right? We could, obviously all of those, my little pretty things up on top of the kitchen and stuff, all that's going to need to be boxed up and brought down, and everything's going to have to be packed in a way to work because it's going to be bumpy. But things have to be kind of protected, and then when we get there, it would all be taken back out and put up. But everyone who's on the road does something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has to do that to protect their things as they go down the road. So, yeah, that's pretty minimal considering how much it took to get us here and to get rid of all of those things. Yeah.
You guys have gone through so many changes, and you guys have such great attitudes about it. It's just great knowing you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we have gone through a lot of changes. Retirement, getting used to that, leaving area that we've lived in for the last
30.
30, 40 years.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's a testament to our flexibility. Not everyone is capable to do that, and that's okay. But for some reason, Nora and I are able to go on these adventures and not get totally tripped up. And
I love it.
Well, we've also found a way to serve humanity. I mean, it's little, but we all have something inside of us to give. And it's like we use our talents now because we are retired. We don't have, that 9 to 5.
And I think in retirement, we didn't want to do the typical thing.
There's more. Our world needs things.
We wanted to get out there somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to help. This is helping facilitate that. We've already had a kind of a non-traditional retirement in just the year that, we've been in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, life's an adventure, and that's how we look at it. This is what we're doing right now. We could be doing something totally different a year from now, but we're really liking it, and it's just really agreeing with us. We've always, for some reason, living in a tiny space has always kind of fascinated us, whether it's an RV or being intrigued by a tree house or a fort or whatever. We're able to live in a smaller space and not feel like we're being deprived. But it's really adding to our quality of life.
I like that. That is so fantastic. So, well, thank you for letting us come by and talk with you guys and showing us your beautiful house. And for you guys out there, if you want to know more about tiny homes, we've got some links in the description below. And if you think Idaho might be the place for you, give us a call, text, email. We'd be glad to talk with you, answer your questions. We've all made that relocation journey and look forward to helping you out. For this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like the video, and maybe share with somebody else that that needs to know about this subject. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for having us. And until next time, this is Treasure Valley Dave, looking forward to helping you get home.